You hear that? You hear that sound? Come on, is it in your headphones too? You guys hear it? No? Well, that's the sound of silence. The sound of disbelief. It should be the sound of facing the music, which Falcons and the super team certainly have to do. But for those watching at home, like me, or those in the stands at the ALGS Split 2 playoffs in Mannheim, the greatest team ever assembled shocked us all. And truly, the only sound that was uttered was silence. When you look into what the expectations were for a team like this to go, not first, not second, not third, not fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, but 20th with 5 games in a row with, say it with me, guys, 0 points. It just doesn't make sense how 3 of the greatest Apex Legends players, the most winning Apex Legends players of all time, put out a performance like that. And it's time to dive into it. So let's go to where we should. Let's ask the pros. Let's ask the players. Actually, let's tune in to ImperialHal's stream. Wait a second. Wow, Hal's not on. That's weird. Hal's like always on. What's been going on? In fact, Hal hasn't been on ever since we got back September 2nd. It's been over a week, and I have not seen Hal streaming. Now, he may have streamed once or twice, but the last official thing that I saw from Hal was actually his position in 20th place. He showed us right here. You guys want to check it out? Check it out. This is it. He's on a beach somewhere. Hal said, I'm out. I'm out. I don't know what that means, but 20th place POV certainly doesn't seem as bad as it is. And to me, this creates the story of why we care. Why would 3 of the greatest players who have been rivals against each other since day one come together, leave their storied legacies to put it all on the line, and then achieve this? Well, it comes down to 3 different things. And one big reason no one is talking about that I've talked about from the very beginning of this team's inception that has come to bite them in the butt. Now, truthfully, it goes back to what did even happen? What occurred? Well, you know, previous coaches like Raven, who used to work with Hal on TSM, and Snipedown, who used to play with Hal, had some thoughts about what went wrong with these players and why they thought that Falcons put out this historically bad performance. If you don't know, take a look at this video where Snipedown on stream talks about what he thought was one of the missing issues.
Confirmed that he was IGLing some of those games. I think he only IGL'd 1 game though. Zero looked horrible at this LAN. From the initial group stage to where he tweeted out that was the worst set of groups that he's ever played, to even the finals where it felt like he was going down first every single time. Like, that was the most uncharacteristic gameplay I've ever seen out of that man. I think Zero's the best player in the game. And to watch that go down the way it did was wild, dude. It was actually so wild. It had nothing to do with being overconfident. If anything, he was not confident. You could hear it in their comms and see it in their gameplay that he was not confident calling anything. There's no jet lag, bro. You can't claim jet lag when you got people flying from all the way across the world in Asia. That'd be horrible. The guys won multiple tournaments in Europe. I could just see it in their gameplay, bro. I don't know what it was, but the fact that they died, like, they got 0 point game. Like, hold up a second. I'm about to go to Wikipedia. Let him cook now. 12th with 0, 13th with 4, 14th with 0, 6th with 7, 11th with 2, 16th. Okay, so game 6, 16th with 0, 19th with 0, 18th with 0, 18th with 0, 17th with 0. We had 5 games in a row with 0 points. Never seen anything like that. I think this, dude, I think this meta is gonna be tough for them, bro. I think this meta is gonna be really, really tough for them. Zero and Gen almost broke up already. But you can't say that. They almost broke up already.
Whoa. Zero and Gen almost broke up already. Well, there's a little bit of heat drop there. Some drama from Snipedown, who joined us on the desk, did fantastically, by the way. But behind the scenes, talking about how good Zero was and how he performed, it was surprising. And to go for 5 games in a row, 0, 0, 0, 0, I guess pun intended, it didn't end up working out with the IGL situation, even though he's touted as one of the best in the world. The strangest thing, too, is I went on broadcast live saying Falcons is actually a team that somehow finds a way to get 2 points or 3 points or 4 points each game, even if they mess up. And that did not happen either. Something was terribly, terribly off. But maybe it wasn't just in the personality clash, right? We know they came in with high expectations, and that might have been what was weighing on them. But maybe that wasn't the biggest thing. whether it was TSM outperforming them, Bleed and Raven outperforming them. There were thoughts from the mechanics of why this meta didn't work, as Snipedown mentioned, that maybe just didn't play into the play styles of Zero and Jin and Hal. So what went wrong there? Let's take a look at what Raven had to say about this entire fiasco in his eyes and why there was this huge meltdown at the biggest stage in the world.
On this meta. Okay, first, right off the bat, I don't like this comp from Siphon because you're playing. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's like okay, it's not the worst thing. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. I just not a fan. I feel like Bang Newcastle Cat is way better. I'm not gonna lie, Siphon is not what it used to be. Because the reason why when we used to play aggressive comps from Siphon, by the way, chat, when I was on TSM, is because we used to get blues and purples, and then the teams around us would get white armors. And so we could take way more early fights. Yeah, it was the armor spawns. And so we could take way more early fights, clear people out, and we had a clear like armor advantage. And now it's just everyone's on blues early games here. Like you have more meds than other people, but that's literally it. For the most part, you have better gun selection, I guess, better attachments, but like that's it. Siphon is really not what it used to be. Why would they pick Siphon this comp? So if you look back on like Falcons scrims and like the day the patch dropped, they started playing Bang Crypto Watson, I think. Yeah, Bang Crypto Watson. They started playing. So they saw those first patch notes and they read the meta as being Bang Crypto Watson. And they just hard committed to playing zone because they thought that was the best way to play the game. Turns out that it's like, sure, there are some teams that ended up playing that and they did well, but like that is definitely not what suits like Falcons' strength at all. And they just way too hard overcommitted to that read on the meta. When I thought it was a pretty bad read on the meta, at least for their skill set. And because they didn't like, they had a pretty like bad read on the meta. And
no, he does a great job here talking about that, and I want to extrapolate a little bit more, guys, as we come back here. Raven talking really about their read on the meta, going into Bang, Crypto, and Watson. Now, that's not a problem. A lot of people went into Bang, Crypto, and Watson, but he kind of starts talking about the issues a little bit later on in this video that I want to fast forward to as to why there was an issue with the counter composition that they could have been running. Especially when you look at a game like Apex, which now offers a little bit more variety than how it used to be with Pathfinder, Watson, and Gibraltar being like, you got to play it or else in our first tournament in Poland. Now you can play different things. You could play a Wraith here and there. You could play a Pathfinder. You could play, you know, God, you can't play an Octane, but you know what I mean? You can end up playing a lot of different varieties. We even saw a Revenant in finals. That can work for you situationally. But here's why it didn't work for Falcons to switch their comp in this time period.
100%. And now they have to go up here on their being kept, right? And they can't make this cross. Okay, so they stick to this comp on Stormpoint. Again, just not a good comp from middle. It doesn't make any sense. You're playing heavily position-based and trying to get deep from middle here, and you're playing a comp that doesn't do well with lack of space, and thus wants to like take space and be the aggressor. It just doesn't make sense. They usually play. What the fuck? They only started playing the Bang Newcastle Cat comp a week before LAN. That's just not enough time to learn. That's why like this is something I stress on TSM so much. You need to have a good read on the meta from the fucking very beginning. You cannot just accept the meta for what it is from the very beginning, because if you are late and you realize that there's actually something that beats the flavor of the month comp, but you don't have enough time to practice it, you're fucked.
Raven says something really eloquent there earlier on in that video. I'll let you guys watch it on your own time. That was from Zip News, clipping something from Raven's stream. But he talks a little bit about how Newcastle is so difficult and that a team, if they were going to adopt Newcastle, would need about a month to play with the character. Hal is notorious, and even did this with Raven, of not wanting to swap onto new characters. New comps that feel a little uncomfortable have always been the issue with TSM back in the day when it was Verholst, Reps, and Hal. Reps taking on that Catalyst role really helped elevate them into the meta where Catalyst was helping them win championships. Now, when it looks like Newcastle is here, there was resistance to go there, and there was just a switch that happened too late. That comp ended up being, with Bangalore and Catalyst and Newcastle, the premier comp to play, and Falcons just felt like they were left in the dust. That's an issue Raven points out. He also mentions, which I have mentioned before, that there is actually a little bit of an issue when it comes to the way that Siphon was prioritized. Siphon is a map location on the map that used to have access to push through Geyser because Geyser didn't have a beacon. Geyser wasn't being landed at as much, all the way and have priority to Overlook, which is that northeast side of the map in World's Edge. Unfortunately, now it's not the same. They've basically brought the parity down in so many ways so that, or to an equal level, which means, parity is like equality essentially of all of these areas around it, so that Siphon doesn't have the advantages it used to have. It's still a good POI, but it's very difficult for them to look at Siphon now as being something that is going to put them ahead. And they were kind of playing in the past. Again, very interesting to hear from former TSM coach, used to coach Hal, Raven. Now, I wanted to go to Reddit and see what you guys had to think about this as well. And while I still have my main points that I want to discuss, I think that there's something Reddit might be uncovering a little bit here as well, which is something that Snipe alluded to. Are we definitely getting a Falcons team change? This was 10 days ago. Ultimately, the question is, are these players going to be able to work through these next 4 months without 2 lands passing and 2 wins not gone by? They doubt any org will pay out the contract Falcons have on them. That's probably true, but Falcons probably also have the ability to, on their side, pull out of the organization if they wanted. But again, they're probably making so much money, I'm not sure that they would want to do that. Hal isn't being dropped. He wasn't even the problem. They will still play together, I believe. That's a good point. It's kind of hard to make Hal seem like he's the problem or Zero like he's the problem, even though Zero ultimately does take control and take responsibility. You get the glory, but you get the responsibility if your team does well or it doesn't perform. Is any individual the exact problem, or was it more of the meta, as Snipedown was alluding to? Just to add, the idea that Falcons finished dead last is stupid. Sure, considerably underperformed, but made lands, then made finals is not last. Okay, this is truly accurate, but when it comes to Falcons' mind, when it comes to the storylines we're talking about, they are last. 20th place. We're not considering the teams that did not even qualify for finals. In finals, in the main match point tournament, they came dead last. That's true. There's no need to try to say, well, they were actually, 20th out of 40 teams, so it's still not that bad. Zero doubts his own judgment purely based on the results from the day, so much so that he asked Hal to IGL, the only person he would ever trust IGL, and now you think Zero would even want to drop Hal, let alone have the ability to? Okay, so it kind of goes on. You guys are just considering that there is, maybe some dropping, maybe not. It all leads to the turmoil of the conversation, which I want to kind of wrap up with a little bit of a bow because we don't know what's going on. Yes, they ended up placing 20th. It wasn't good. Not great results here. SSG taking the win, and yeah, SSG dropping phony as well. And, Verholst, TSM, finding 4th place, literally almost winning. A great story of Verholst reps and Zapto clawing back after losing Raven and Hal. Bleed Esports, who Raven went to coach, grabbing 7th place. It feels like there was just this huge switch in momentum. And I wanted to leave you all with this thought. When I first talked about the issues that were going to happen with Super Team Falcons, it seemed prevalent to a lot of you that there was going to be nobody to stop them. We looked in Pro League and they won split to Pro League. We looked at regional finals, which was match point, and they won regional finals. We looked at EWC. We expected a win. They were in their hometown of Riyadh. They were celebrating. It looked like it was Falcons time, Falcons glory. And yet they took 2nd place. Now at EWC, because of the prize pool, that's still a cool $300,000. So while Hal was upset about that, I heard from secondhand reports, still feels like once he was reminded of how much money they made, he brushed it off and said, we've got the ALGS coming up. But the true trophy, the true prize is winning Split 2. It's something 0 won last year. It's something Hal wanted to win again this year's hit, which he missed out on 2 years in a row, and something Jen Burton was looking forward to doing also. And they couldn't find the answer. And it just makes me think, this team has everything going for them. They've got Jen Burton, Zero, and Hal, 3 of the greatest players who have ever played Apex. There's no doubt about that. No one's taking that away from them, and no one's saying this team can't bounce back. But what we are saying is when Hal leaves TSM, when Zero and Jen Burton add that piece of Hal, what they decide to do instead is chart a new path, a new legacy, but it's different when it comes to what they're playing for. See, when Hal and Zero and Jen Burton faced off against one another, it was Hal going up against the rest, trying to figure it out with Verholst and Reps, keeping the legacy alive, and Zero and Jen Burton and Dark Zero. They had an enemy, a common person to fight against. You ever had someone argue with you All right, we have something to fight against, right? And that is what Hal found, that team that could stop him. And so he wanted to prove them wrong. It's easy to prove somebody wrong when they're saying somebody else is better than you. So you got motivation there. Now let's look at Zero. Zero says, Hal, you're not the only one who's got that thing in Apex Legends. Let me show you what my legacy will be. Let me bring Jim Burton here off the YouTube channel where he was getting tons of views, off the streams, and see him live and show him perform. Let's bring the parents every single time. Let's bring Richard and Papa and Mama Jim Burton and show them what we do as a family in Dark Zero. And they win. They wanted to create their legacy. So two different sides of the coin. To fight against people who doubt that you've done it before and you can't do it again, and to fight against people and to prove and reach for something that's greater. I mean, you've seen it in work. You've seen it in your life. When you're going for something, you're motivated. Something that would change your life, add to your value, you're motivated. When someone says you can't do that, you're motivated too to prove them wrong. But what happens when everybody in the whole world says you're the best? What happens when every single person expects you to win? And the only benefit you get from winning is we call you the best, like we called you before. And the pain of losing, the embarrassment of losing, is 10 times worse than on any other scenario. It's hard to stay motivated. It's hard to find that fire. And when other teams like SSG or Alliance or TSM or Gaming Gladiators, God, what a performance they had. Guild as well, Fnatic. When they are grinding to try to pick their legacy out from the clouds, hold it down, make it a reality instead of a dream, and all you're doing is fighting to stay the best, like everyone already says you're the best, so just stay that. If you lift the trophy, everyone expects it. It's hard to have that level of motivation. These guys are all hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in the bank account, having played this game at the highest of levels. And if you're talking about what went wrong with Falcons, to me, it's that they didn't have that fire. That motivation wasn't the same on either of those teams, and there wasn't enough in the belly to get them going. But for those who want to know what happens next, I think that there is something pretty special. You guys might have just woken up a monster, because I'll tell you what, this team now, Hal on vacation, saying your lack of commitment is an insult to those who believe in you, and this random little baby gif he's got going on under there, I don't know what that's about. This seems like a team that now has that other motivation I was talking about. People doubting them. Man, the super team was a bust. They can't win a LAN. We'll see about that. Because Falcons, they may just be coming for the throat. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Leave a like and let me know in the comments about Falcons' trajectory in your eyes. Never give up, never stop gaming. I'll see you guys next time.